Do you think that the challenges that women entrepreneurs and startups have historically faced mean that we will always be underrepresented sourcing angel investment?
So to that point, I'd like to say no.
Good.
I'm an optimist. Also,
Positive.
in terms of, I am a systems thinker. So what I'm excited about is, especially with Pipeline Fund, is that we are dealing with something that is about changing a culture.
Yes.
And that we are making this effort come, because it cannot happen in silos. So
Yes.
that would be the first part. The other thing that I've been noticing, and the reason I think it's very important that we also deal with the other side of the equation, not just the entrepreneurs, also the investors, is because I believe that right now if we don't, there will be a bottleneck effect that will occur, because a lot of support is coming up for women entrepreneurs in the forms of incubators, for example.
Yes.
And the investment culture is not adapting quickly enough, I believe, to take advantage of the investment opportunities that come with these women entrepreneurs.
Right.
So by creating, for example, the Pipeline Fund and the Pipeline Fund Fellowship, we are first of all increasing the number of investors that are out there.
Yep.
So that in order to match them with ideas that they might resonate with them, that is part of it. And the other one is that we're also, with Pipeline Fund, we're seeding a fund whose focus is women-led for-profit social ventures.
Very good. Could you list some of the advantages of gender diversity in a startup? I have had a lot of feedback in these interviews that, and also some figures that usually if a startup has women and men, that they in fact produce better results. And I just wondered what you've perceived are the advantages and the disadvantages, if any.
Sure. And I did have a chance to see some of your work, and you also mentioned age diversity. So I think it's important that we talk about the advantages that come about having a diverse team in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of race, diversity in general.
Yes.
To me, diversity of teams, we already see the advantages and all the people who are in favor of it in just companies in general.
Yes.
And so for me, there are all these huge companies that, in terms of talking about systems and institutions, they're realizing now that the lack of diversity means lack of innovation, lack of all these advantages, and they're trying hard, to integrate and incorporate systems that will permit an increase in diversity in these huge companies. So to me, for us, startups, entrepreneurs, we have the opportunity that in a much easier way to take advantage of what diversity means. And what diversity means to me in terms of advantages, obviously, is, different perspectives that come from different backgrounds, experiences, as we said, age, gender, race, orientation. It can also be in terms of different functional roles.
Yes.
And all of these criteria will prevent groupthink. So
yes.
Just, that why do we need different perspectives, right? That there is the importance of gender diversity or any sort of diversity in a startup, the same as with a company, is that the actual team can reflect the potential market.
Right.
In-house. And what is, at least for me, super interesting of having a team that reflects the market is that one can get closer to the potential or current consumer user of one's product or of one's service.
Yes, it's much more successful. Yeah.
Because then in some ways it's an internal focus group that one can have.
Yes.
And
when
when it's actually closer to whatever trends or whatever else is happening in the market. So that would be the other component. I know that, and I think it is important to just not talk, obviously, talk about the advantages. I think that it's also important to respond to, some criticisms. And I do know from my own experience that one of the criticisms that people have regarding diversity is that, whoa, you know, if you have a diverse team, it's so time consuming. And obviously, because if one is coming from different perspectives, then it's not the group think of, oh yes, we're all going to,
yes,
or we're all going to be, because there's going to be someone who says Z, someone's going to say a number, no, I want 2.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I do believe that whatever additional time that it gets invested in the pre-work, it's time that gets saved after.
Yes.
Because yes, it might be a shorter, you know, it might be a shorter length to get, for example, a product out.
Yes.
Yet, if it's coming from a team that is not diverse, there might be issues that would need to be corrected.
Yes.
That would have potentially have been accounted for if another voice had
Yes.
been in the mix. You know, and
yes.
The one of the recent examples that, you know, was very provocative was, you know, well, what if Apple had more women in the team who decided to name the iPad? You know, and now people have forgotten about the iPad and how controversial that was, which is great for Apple. Yet, you know, that hullabaloo might have been prevented if there might have been more diversity in the marketing business development team in the first place.
Right. And it is a truer representation of the outer world if there is diversity, because that is the way our world, our planet works. So you're right. It has incredible advantages and the same disadvantages probably that we experience in ordinary life. But that's fantastic. Thank you so much for all that information, and you've certainly got me thinking. I really appreciate your perspective on things. So thank you again, Natalia.
Thank you, Pemo. It was a delight.
Okay.